We're officially live, Quality Builders Inc. Waiting for my boy Lucas Deck. Let me find out where this guy's at.
How are you? Can you hear me good?
What's going on?
What's up, man?
Oh man, it's Tuesday. I got back from vacation last week, so the whole coming back from vacation routine.
I hear ya.
What about you? You better on vacation?
I go next month. I'm headed out to Orlando. Where'd you go?
I went to Aruba.
There we go.
Yeah.
I've never been there before. How was that?
It's good. It's an island, just north of Venezuela, so it's pretty warm there all the time. So I liked it down there. It's pretty small. You could get from like one end to the other end of the island in an hour. So went
That's not bad at
scuba,
all.
went scuba diving for my birthday. You ever been scuba diving?
No, sounds fun though.
Yeah, I love it. I love going to the top of the world and jumping out and then going to the bottom.
There we go.
Been skydiving?
No, I'm not a big fan of
Oh
heights.
man.
So props to you if you enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I do. So we've never connected before. I know you're in Northwest Indiana, right? Is that correct?
Yep, north. Well, yeah, north. I'm like in between northwest and northeast, so like right in the middle up here. So I'm like 2 hours from Chicago.
Okay.
I'm like about Fort Wayne.
Well, what's what's your background? How did you get into real estate? What's your story?
Yeah, sweet. So yeah, I grew up and I still serve over here in Albany, Indiana. It's about an hour north of Fort Wayne's, 2 hours from Chicago. I went to public education here, public school, and then my goal, to preface, my goal was to play college basketball. So I got 5 offers going into my senior year. I committed to a school in Fort Wayne, and a week before my senior year started, I tore my ACL for the second time. So I missed my whole senior season, and during that winter, I realized, I mean, in Indiana, Chicago, like anywhere Midwest, up north, it's cold, snowy, you can't really do much in the winter.
Sure.
And so I just had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I wanted to start a business. So I started my first business, which was like a drop shipping, t-shirt, custom design store. And going through that, I was a senior, going into my freshman year of college. I stopped doing that because I picked up my coursework and stuff, and I redshirted my freshman year of basketball, so I didn't play basketball since the practices, and I was getting stronger. And I realized my freshman year of college just wasn't for me. And I was a good student. I had a high GPA in high school, honors diploma. So it wasn't necessarily the schoolwork was hard. It was just the stuff I was getting taught just wasn't for me. The vibes I was getting from the business professors just didn't seem like they necessarily knew what they were talking about or had a past prior history of maybe education and teaching. And I left the school I was at, and I just did it online at Purdue. And my sophomore year is when I kind of got the thought of getting into real estate. So I made $500 off for a referral. I found a buyer for like a for sale by owner, and they gave me $500. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. Like when you're that young, $500, you can kind of buy like anything you want for the most part. And I had a guy in town here, he's a good friend now, and I've sold a couple, or I've sold a flip of his, so it's kind of full circle. And he asked me, why don't you become a realtor? And I had no idea what that entailed, anything about that. And that's kind of how I got started, was him asking, why don't you just get in real estate and become a realtor?
No way. So you tore your ACL twice.
Yeah.
When was the first time you tore it?
I was a sophomore. It was the same thing, basketball. So, but I don't know. Then it sucked. It was like the end of the world for me because I wanted to go play like, as long as I could. But I tore it. But now I can dunk. So for me now, it's like I couldn't dunk then, tore it twice to dunk. I mean, I'll take that sacrifice all day. So I still play in a league here, but just for fun. So
interesting. So it was kind of one of those negatives that turned into a positive?
Yeah, I think it was like I'm a pretty faithful person, so I think it was just God's way of making me pivot.
Yeah, sometimes we're too stubborn in our own ways to pivot on our own.
Yep.
So we got to get a wake up call from
Yep.
man above to do something different.
Man.
So you tore your ACL twice, went to school, dropped out of school, then decided you were gonna. Well, then you went online school to Purdue, and then
Yep.
your was it your friends who you wholesaled the deal to?
No, it was like just a house in town here, and I knew a guy that would flip houses here in town, so I said, "Hey, check out this house." And then when they closed, I just got like a $500 referral.
Interesting. And then you got into the real estate business. Now, how long ago was it that you got your agent's license?
So I got licensed. I started in November of 2022. So I had like basically like a month of in 2022. So last year was my first full year in real estate. So 2023 was my first full year.
Nice. So what did you
Yeah.
do different than everyone else to get up and going? Usually, of course, the first year is typically the most challenging year when you're a real estate agent. What are your tips and tricks to crush it your first year?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, confidence is the main thing. Confidence and knowledge would be two things to contribute to that. And the consistency. I was pretty big with social media last year, and I'm still continuing to be. So social media, branding, and just getting your name out there. And most important part is I think we're gonna get into this later, but like the value of my business is like the value of what I do. I think that's a big thing for many people. Some people, you can tell who's in it for money and who's in it for things that they shouldn't be in it for. And you can tell people who are being genuine and just want to help. So I think a big thing is to, if it's not real estate for any business, make sure you're genuine and have integrity and have a good why and foundation of why you're doing what you do, and you'll be good off. So.
How do you think people read through those two differences, right? It's easy to look like I'm doing the right things for the right reasons when in the background I'm just trying to get rich quick. You
Yep.
know? So how do people? What are some like things people can do to
Mhm.
really get to know Lucas to know that he's actually doing things the right way, opposed to just building up his ego, building up his bank account?
True. Yeah, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing is people can tell how you speak about the deal and when you're being, people can tell when you're being salesy or pushy. So like say if this house has like a terrible foundation or the roof is shot and they're a first time home buyer, so they may not necessarily have the amount of funds to fix or repair this. Some people would push the deal just to get it close so they can get their commission, just to get that number, to get that staff, to get that money. I think the big thing for me is I try to put myself in their shoes. If this foundation is shot and the roof's leaking, I would not, if I'm a first time home buyer, I would not want to buy this house. I'm not confident in it. I wouldn't have to go with that big of a headache. And then things like if there's mold in the house, if I'm going into this house and it has a lot of mold, I either don't want to be there or I get it fixed. So my big thing is to solve problems and help people. So those two things is what I try to do a ton is to solve problems and help people and to get what they want to do. Like if you don't necessarily want to buy this house, you're not confident in it, that's fine. There's 20 other houses in this neighborhood or in this town we can go check out too. Like you don't have to buy this one just because it's my listing or I'm showing it to you right now. I'm not trying to sell you this house. I'm trying to help you with whatever your end goal is. Whether you're trying to buy this house, cool, let's do it. If you don't want to, that's fine too as well. But if you want to buy this house, I will help you and I will do my best job and able to make sure you get the best deal possible in this house.
Since you're a little bit younger, like I know it's probably a challenge sometimes to get people to understand that you know what you're doing, right? Like when
Yep.
we don't have experience, we don't have experience. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So how do you like? Well, I mean, one, you don't have experience compared to someone who has a decade of experience. So
Yep.
are there resources you use? People you lean on to kind of build that bridge and show your clients that you have the resources they need to be confident in closing the deal and that the numbers are in the right spot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so starting out, I didn't really have much experience, obviously. Like, when you're just getting started out, it's just common sense. You haven't done anything. So now I have 20 plus deals closed and then a solid amount in pending in the pipeline. So now I do have some of that experience. So now I can kind of lean on my own experience and go from there. But my managing broker that I have at my brokerage, Uptown Realty Group, has and is been fantastic. So they've been a major help with some of the questions I'll come up with because there's certain circumstances, either if you've been in the business for 20 years or 1 year, there's things you haven't gone through yet or you haven't gone through at all. So like you're still, it's a constant learning experience wherever you're at in your process. And you're going to come across different deals, different circumstances. Like no real estate deal is the same. Like that's what's so fun about it is there's so many variables to each one that for the most part you're going to have a different experience each time. People are going to have different questions. You're going to have different issues. You're going to have different problems to solve. So I think that helps it out a ton. Is everything's different. So even going into it like with the lack of experience, I think a big thing for me was to be a sponge of knowledge, just soak in as much as you can, learn as much as you can. And the best way to learn, I think, is from other people's mistakes and failures. So I would listen to top producers in Northern Indiana. I would listen to people on YouTube that, from like a macro perspective, like California, New York, Alabama, what they went through when they were younger, how they overcome these things. And I'm young already. I just turned 22, but like I know I have a baby face. Like I'm well aware. Like I look young. So a big thing for me was the confidence was huge. And if you have the knowledge, yes, there's going to be some people that aren't going to use you or want to use you because you're younger and you probably don't have as much experience as someone that's been in it for 20 years. But that doesn't mean that you won't provide a better service than them. And I know for a fact I do provide a fantastic and great service. And I'm very confident in my abilities to serve my clients. So I think that confidence is a huge thing for younger people. And to not be boastful about it or like proud or cocky, but to have that inner confidence of I can do this and then prove to yourself that you will. And I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, I agree. I just did a presentation on mindset last night, and yeah, I think you can have the confidence that even if you don't know the answer, that you can get the answer. You know,
Yep.
and I think
Yes.
that's the difference. Is for me, confident people admit when they're wrong. They admit if they don't know the answer, but they can go find the answer.
Yep.
You know, and so it's like I don't even like the answer. I don't know. It's more of like the answer to me is not I don't know. It's I'm going to go find it out because I'm not sure what it is right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of really emits the confidence. Not just saying, you know, not just for some people just like, oh yeah, I'm closing this many deals and doing this many things, but it's actually, you know, being able to admit, you know, when things aren't going right, you know, how to handle the situation. Because like you said, I think it's such a good point. It's like, yeah, every deal for us, like every construction project is different, and because you're dealing with different people, you know, every time, right? And different houses every time, and there's different things going on with the houses every different time. So since everything's different every time, like what are you doing to kind of like systematize and process the things that you can systematize and process and set up some type of like operating procedure so that, you know, 80% of the time, right, the 80-20 rule, like it falls into this type of bucket. Is there anything that you're kind of trying to do to build out your business to have those kind of questions and things answered ahead of time?
Yeah, so I'm a big guy of notes because I don't have the best memory all the time per se with certain things. And when you're out and about in your business and you're doing things, it's very hard to remember 10 different things at once. So I'm a big note taker, but I do have a fantastic transaction coordinator with Uptown Realty. So that's been a huge thing for me is like I'm a big problem solver. Like I'm the guy on the face of the deal. I'm trying to get these deals solved. But the back end stuff, like submitting paperwork for compliance or stuff like that, I'm a real estate agent. I want to sell. I want to help people sell their house, and I want to help people buy houses. So like the paperwork and stuff, I kind of delegate that off to our TC. She does great work, fantastic at what she does. Takes away a bunch of headaches on that side of things, so I can focus on issues with the transaction. I think a big thing is AI too. Like with the social media, it wouldn't be a wise decision for me to write up a caption or to auto cap, like for me to write my own captions. That would take so long. So I think AI is a huge thing for the social media aspect of things. I use CapCut, so it's very simple to use.
CapCut?
CapCut, yep, CAPCUT. So that's the app I use for my videos, and it may not be the best, but it gets the job done for now, and it's very easy, and I'm sure there's better softwares you can use, but for right now, that's the one I found the most success with. It's easy to use, it's fun to work with, they have great caption, like different styles you can use, but as far as like problem solving, like a system, it's kind of hard other than just being knowledgeable of all the things that could happen and prepping for and just being ready for it. And then when that problem comes, if you faced it before, look back at your notes, remember if it's happened before, and if it hasn't, then okay, figure it out or ask help for someone who does. So the managing broker is great for answering those questions that you may not have. lean on your vendors and your partners. Like if it's a lending issue, if it's an appraisal issue, if it's whatever it may be, lean on those people to where that industry is focused on and figure out from them. Like you said, it's a great thing, like confidence thing. The amount of times I've said, I don't know that answer yet, but I will find it out for you tonight, or I will get that answer to you tomorrow. I've said it probably 100 times just in the last year. And some people might look at it as this dude has no idea what he's talking about. It's no, I'm not going to lie to you because I've never faced this problem before, but I will get the correct answer for you so we're confident whatever the issue may be.
Yeah, I think that's like the key point. Is like, I haven't faced this problem before, but I'm going to get the answer, and if I face it again, I'm going to know the answer the next time.
Yep.
Thank you for creating this issue, because I didn't know the answer before, right? It's like you're creating a new opportunity for me to learn something new. And I think one of the best points you touched on too is just like finding people who are just really, really good at what they do, and then using them as a resource, right? Like, I don't know how many times like you is like, I've gone to the attorney, I've gone to the lender. It's like, I'm not an expert in any of those fields. I'm an expert in building houses. You're an expert in being a real estate agent. And so let us stay in our lane and let everyone else stay in their lane. And then guess what? Traffic goes faster when everyone's in their lane. It's when everyone's trying to switch lane from here to here to here, hitting the brakes. That guy that might still be you. You're so young and flying down the highway. But
I'm like Vin Diesel or something.
Yeah, exactly. Vin Diesel. Or what's his the other guy from Fast and the Furious? God rest his soul.
Paul
Walker. But it's like that's such an important thing. Is like staying in your lane and knowing what you're good at, using your different resources. Oh, the other thing I was going to ask you about, since you're a little bit younger too, is like it's got to be tough every now and then on the phone when you're dealing with other agents who've been in the industry for 20 or 30 years. It's like one of my things I love to practice more than anything is kind of like my mental jujitsu, knowing that I'm already thinking about what I'm thinking about before the person is on the phone. So I have kind of all these, scenarios played out in my head and how I'm going to navigate them. What are some of your tricks to any younger real estate agents out there for dealing with the people who have been doing it for 20, 30 years and kind of, snuffing up their noses at you at some point in time?
Yeah, I think I was blessed my first year of not having like snobby or mean like college people I was working with. I really didn't have many issues with that, but I was aware of some, or what, like you said, what could happen. And I think a big thing would to be, guys, you just got to go back to that confidence. Like when you're confident in what you're doing and why you're doing it, it'll work out. It's gonna work out. But it's that fact when if they say, like it happened to me like 4 months ago, someone tried saying like, I've been in this business for 15 years, and they went on and on and on. I was like, okay, like in my head, I was like, okay, but what does this have to do with this transaction? Like I get you've been doing it for a long time, but that's why you can assist with this question because you've been doing it a long time. And then it ended up being resolved and everything ended up working out fine. So I think it's, if you do get that negative interaction, to just use it as a lesson to when you are that person, Lord willing, in 10 to 15 years, been doing it that long and been successful, when you see that rookie come in or that younger person come in, you don't give them that same experience that you received when you were that young. So I mean, if you do come across one of those people, so be it. I mean, it may happen, it might not, but don't let it affect you in your business, especially if you're doing it for the right reason.
I think what I've always found is I know that people like talking about themselves more than anything. And so if I can ask good questions just to make them talk about themselves, it's going to naturally kind of take the pressure off of me. Not to put the pressure on them, but take it off of me. Let them talk about what they're going to do. So I always like to ask a lot of questions. I always am genuinely interested in what they're doing and trying to learn from them. Remember, you've been doing it for this long. Like, I know you know way more than me. How do I learn from you? And, the second you kind of put it in that type of frame, I found that more than likely people are more than willing to help you. It's when all of a sudden you come in, when I've come in the past and been like, oh, well, no, you got to do it this way or this way or that way. And now I'm telling someone who has way more experience than I how it should be done. And so I've always found that to be the best ways to just ask questions, be genuinely interested in what the other agent or other contractors or whatnot are doing it. I was going to ask you one other question too around something. What was it? It was a really good question too. So, oh, yeah, now I remember. So, you kind of alluded to confidence a couple of times. what if I don't got confidence? How do I get confidence? What are the steps someone takes to build their confidence?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to get confidence is to, let's go with action. When you start doing the stuff and the steps you need to take in whatever you're doing, whether it's real estate or construction or education or being an athlete, you have to take these action steps, and those steps that you take will give you the confidence whatever you may do. So, like for me, I was always kind of shy. I hated videos. I hated pictures. So for me, when I started social media, I had to get over that thought in your head to where like, okay, your hair looks funny today, or your teeth look funny today, or you're not wearing the right shirt. You got to realize where those thoughts are coming from. Straight from it's in I believe it's like 2 Timothy. There's a verse in there that talks about like, the spirit of fear comes straight from hell, and you just got to cast that spirit straight back to where it came from. And I still struggle with some things. Like I'm not a big cold caller guy because I feel that thing, I feel that thought, I feel that presence of that spirit. So I'm still overcoming that in that aspect. But as far as videos and photos, or if you're overcoming, you want to be confident, you got to realize where those thoughts are coming from and get those away from your soul, your spirit, your mind, and just take those action steps you need to take to whatever it may be. So say you want to start streaming, and you obviously have to have a video. So maybe a big thing for confidence is to get a fresh new haircut, wear a nice shirt, and that's automatically going to give you that confidence because you're going to think, okay, I look good, I feel good, whatever I'm doing, streaming, real estate, construction, you're going to feel good while you do it. So a big thing is exterior appearance, because that's the first thing everyone sees. Your hair, the clothes you wear, how you talk, how you act. So first change internally, and then it'll reflect and it'll project your reality.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that Deion Sanders quote, right? Look good, feel
Yep.
good, play good,
Yep.
get paid good.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that like the other point is too is like it seems like like that for me, it always has to start on the inside. And I think like what I'm hearing you say too is like because you have a strong faith, it gives you confidence in doing what you're doing. That you got the right people behind you, most importantly. And because at the end of the day, all this stuff, right, goes away at the end of the day. None of this end up really matters. What matters is how we're treating people and how we're treating ourselves, to be honest, and that we're being honest and transparent with myself. One of the things I believe builds confidence more than anything is when I started being true to myself. I think it's so easy to lie to ourselves about who we are with so many other distractions and comparing ourselves to so many other people that when you can stop worrying about other people and worry about yourself and be true to yourself, that's when you start building most confidence. That's when I started building most confidence. And for me, it starts with like little tiny things. Like the littlest things that it could start with would be, when your alarm goes off in the morning, did you get out of bed? And what did you do when you woke up? Did you lay in bed forever and whine and complain about getting up, or did you get up and get ready to go? Like so many people, I think, the hardest thing is we don't ever see what anyone's doing when they're by themselves. Right? Like, no one saw what I was doing when I was drinking by myself. Like, I don't have to tell anyone I was doing that, right? But God knows, someone knows, right? Someone knows who's watching, right? And I think, when you're doing these sneaky things thinking that no one's looking, well, trust me, someone's looking and you know what you did. And that for me, like, I came from a huge place of insecurity in my life, and that was because I was always trying to pretend like I was someone I wasn't. And so, yeah, I think it's just like, and it takes a lot of self-reflection to figure out who you are and why you are the way you are. Yourself growing up, how did you even kind of develop your faith that you have now?
I think a big thing is I didn't grow up like religious or in like a church or in like a Bible study or like a faith based really thing. Like my parents believed in God and stuff. Like we never really did much with it or anything. But it really took, unfortunately, like we talked about earlier, like people are so stubborn that they need wake up calls.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple various wake up calls would happen. Like you said, like self reflection is huge. And I've always been a big like a thinker. Like I love just to think and like reflect and like just think, like deep think, critically thinking, problem solve. So I've always been kind of wired that way, which helps out a ton. Lord willing, I've been wired like that. But it also can be negative too as well. So when you're constantly thinking or you're a critical thinker, you can kind of, like you said, you kind of be like your own enemy in your own head. You kind of get to yourself, be self-critiquing when you shouldn't be. Um, but I think a big thing would be, um, that's a very good question. I think you're just going through the trials and learning from those, learning from other people's mistakes and other people's trials, and leaning in and getting knowledge. Because once you get that knowledge, the knowledge is great and all, but if you're not taking action with that knowledge, it's not going to go anywhere. You can know the exact blueprint on how to build a house, the perfect house, but if you never start getting the tools and the equipment to build this house, all it is ever going to be is just this blueprint. So just surround yourself with good people, faith-based people, leaning into the Bible studies, leaning into getting involved with that church building, because I believe a church is the people, not a building. So getting involved in that church, the group of people that meets up in the building, and then also stemming off and finding your faith, reading the Bible, getting your knowledge, and then going from there, you get confidence in your faith, and you can start other things. You can start your own Bible study. You can do things in the community, and people will reflect. Like people, we don't do good acts and good deeds to get into heaven. We do them because we believe and have the faith. So that's a big concept for me.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point that I think John Maxwell made. I think he said the best leadership book is the Bible.
Yeah.
It's a funny concept. Yeah, I'm reading it from start to finish. So there's like a 1 year Bible program. I'm reading it in 2 years. So I'm getting through March, so I read it every day. And I've actually like started studying a bunch of other different religions too, because I think it's so easy to just kind of, at least for a lot of people, just abide by whatever the parents told them. For me, I'm just taking a deeper dive into some of the analytical, database points we have on different religions, whether it be like Muslim or Hinduism or all these other religions as well, just to kind of see what's out there. Because I don't think there's any, wrong religion. Whatever works for someone, may not work for me. But if I haven't done the work to believe that there's a reason that isn't the case, then I have no place to stand to say that isn't right.
Yeah.
That's my like, qualm with religion or churchy church people. Is like a lot of people end up getting pointing fingers at people. I'm like, oh, you're right and I'm wrong. But it's like most of them people haven't done the real research to figure out why someone's right or wrong. They just want to point a bunch of fingers. And that stuff upsets me more than anything. So that's why I'm on kind of my own faith-based, spiritual-based journey to figure out, my beliefs, so that way I can talk intelligently about them to say why I believe the way I believe.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my like a faith mentor like a couple months ago, and I was like, I don't really care. Like, I would love people to believe in Christianity when I believe like Jesus and like the truth, no matter. But some of my best friends are Muslim. Some of my best friends don't believe. It's like, but I'd much rather have them believe in something than nothing at all, because I think there's so much evidence to say like there isn't a God, or like there's so much. I don't even know how to explain it. It's too perfect to not have a creator.
Yeah.
And I just try to get to the point so that people that don't believe, like I'm not gonna, like you said, like point fingers or judge them or like push it, but I'm gonna plant these seeds, and hopefully somewhere down the line that whatever their will is for that God has for them, He'll water it and then it'll grow into something beautiful for them, and they'll find their own path, their own trial maybe await them that they need whenever that may come. And I think a big thing is to, like, if you're have a very strong foundation on faith, whatever religion you want it to be. Yes, I believe that Jesus is the truth and the light and way, but if you are Muslim and you believe that, cool, so be it. Whatever helps you become the best version of yourself and make you feel like the best for your life, let it be. But I feel like everyone should have some sort of like a faith belief.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was just typing up that word because I was like, too many things are too perfect. Like when the waves are smashing and Aruba and all this stuff. Is like I go back to that idea of like intelligent design, which is just like there's too many things and too perfect of a place for it to just come out of nowhere and things are just the way they are. And yeah, to me, it just doesn't make any sense any other way. And so yeah, like we got to jump off here, but I always like to kind of make sure people know how to get a hold of you. You're Lucas Deck Reel on Instagram, and then I guess generally speaking, if anyone who was listening wants to reconnect with you, is there better ways to connect via Instagram?
That's pretty much it. At Lucas Tech Real or at Lucas Tech Real Estate, and DMs are open, so anyone can DM
All
me.
right, brother. Well, glad to connect. I think you're on a path to doing big things, so we got to make sure we connect in another couple of months to see if you get to the 100 deal mark soon.
For sure. Likewise. Yeah, run up to Chicago. We'll have to do something up there.
Yeah,
All right.
sounds good, brother. Later.
Sounds good. Have a good rest of your day. See you.
Bye.